Joker Folie à Deux. And that's the last time you're going to hear me say that title, and I'm not putting it in the fucking title of the video. I'm going to call it Joker 2 because there's no real reason to call it that. So I saw this movie at an early IMAX screening. They were doing a fan event. Got this cool poster. It's a nice looking poster for a movie that I fucking hated. And I'm not going to shy away from that this time. This is another Halloween Ends for me, where I, when I saw that movie, I was just fucking angry, and I just had to talk. And so, I know this movie's not out yet, but it had an early screening. I'm sure a lot of people went. So this is going to be a spoiler review, and I'm going to talk about the flaws of this movie. If you don't want to hear that, then click off now. I really don't know how else to talk about this movie without spoilers. I wanted to do it without spoilers, but there's just no fucking way. This is an awful movie. So, I did do a review for Joker before this movie came out, and I reviewed The Killing Joke, and I reviewed Harley Quinn comics. So you can check all those videos out. I reviewed all that stuff. And, but just to refresh your memory, I guess, on my thoughts on Joker. I didn't really like the first Joker movie. I didn't really see it in theaters when it came out. But I did watch it later after all the hype. And besides a great performance from Joaquin Phoenix, it was just aping better films. And it didn't really have much substance beyond that. I mean, yeah, it was saying things and it did that well enough, but I could see better movies that were saying those things. However, I get why so many people are into that movie, why they love that movie, why it resonates with so much people. Because maybe this is the first time they're seeing that type of story. So I understand. It just doesn't work for me personally. I understand its appeal, even though I think it's a little overblown. But this new one, I think everybody was a little bit cautious. Because number one, they were kind of telling us for a while we weren't getting a Joker 2. And then they gave us a Joker 2. But it was one of those movies, like, how do you do that? Because the first Joker is about the mental downfall of a man. And that's the story. How do you show us that story continue? Like, there's no easy direction for that. And then, Gaga coming in, and there's the stuff about it being a musical. It's like, what is all this stuff? Like, what is this movie? And sitting down to watch the movie, all that was in my head. And I was watching the movie, and throughout the 2-hour and 18-minute runtime, I'm sitting there examining every frame of this movie, trying to figure out what is this movie trying to say. And by the end of the movie, I just gave the fuck up because the people involved did not know what the fuck it was going to say. So I guess we'll do kind of a breakdown of the movie. Basically, after the events of the first Joker, Arthur is he's in Arkham, right? And he's very quiet. He's not laughing. He's, guards kind of beat him up and they mess with him, and it's implied that they rape him, I think. I couldn't really tell, but I feel like that's what is implied. But basically, they're treating this poor man like fucking shit. And then randomly he meets Harley Quinn, and the way he meets her is like, she's just kind of standing there, they share a glance, and then that's it. It's like, okay. But they meet, and he kind of instantly falls for her, and they sing a few songs. The musical aspect is really weird for this movie, because first of all, I think all the music is bad. Because Joaquin Phoenix cannot sing for the life of him. He is not a great singer. And that's fine. He's a terrific actor. He does not need to be able to sing well. Gaga can sing, but if you could definitely see that her musical ability was not used well in this movie, like at all. And it's literally just them singing licensed songs, and it doesn't really contribute to the movie except that, oh, these characters like each other. But you could already tell that without the music. It didn't feel like any of these musical numbers needed to be there. It just felt like Todd Phillips was basically... It just feels like Todd Phillips, after the first Joker, made $1 billion. They gave him more money for the sequel. So he kind of did whatever the shit he wanted without really any rhyme or reason to how it was going to work, how it was going to come together. And so you get this very awkward thing of like, here's a musical. And you watch these musical sequences, and they're the worst directed sequences of the movie. Musical sequences are supposed to be flashy, big, and eventful. These musical sequences are not. They're just characters standing and singing. It reminded me of Dear Evan Hansen, where that movie, like, there would literally be characters sitting at a table, and they'd just be fucking singing. It is that bad of direction. Todd Phillips' direction here is not awful. Like, there's some great cinematography. Well, actually, I won't say great, but pretty good cinematography. But it doesn't matter because you get the musical aspect is the worst part, which you would think would be the one sequences you want to go all out for. It's really fucking bizarre. I don't understand why it's a musical. And so, anyways, after Arthur falls in love with this girl, the DA decides, all right, we're gonna fucking give him the electric chair. That's our goal. So they put him on trial for the murders he did, and more and more throughout the movie, as he kind of gets more and more mixed up with Harley, who I also should state is not called Harley. They call her Lee. So why the fuck is she Harley Quinn? Except that people know those two characters, right? Because she's not Harley Quinn. She doesn't really become Harley Quinn at any point. In the same way, like in the first Joker, the more and more the movie, she becomes the Joker. Harley Quinn does not become fucking Harley Quinn at all at any point in this movie. She dresses similar to the fucking character, but she isn't that character. And so, that's what I'm talking about. There's so many aspects of this movie. Like, the musical part of this movie makes no sense. That makes no sense. So it's just hard to even know what the movie's trying to say or be. But so like half of the movie is about Harley and Joker forming this relationship, and the other half of this movie is this court drama about him being sent to the electric chair for murder, and then they ended up not doing it because the courthouse fucking blew up. None of it makes any sense, and it just leads to a movie that is incredibly shitty because it's really easy to make this movie work if you really think about it. If this movie had just picked its lane of what topic it wanted to address, which is toxic relationships, which is literally the point of Harley and Joker's relationship, which is what this movie should have been about. Like, the movie should have been about Harley wanting to see Joker. And she keeps trying to bring that side of him out more and more, even though Arthur doesn't really want to be that Joker because he doesn't like the effects of him being that character. But I don't know, none of it made any sense. And by the end of the movie, Joker dies. And I don't understand what, like, clearly Warner Brothers wanted this to be a franchise, but it's not a franchise now? He's dead? Like, I think that probably that's the only way Joaquin Phoenix was going to come back. So none of this movie made any sense. It was just a disaster of a movie. Well, you're watching this movie and you have no idea what it's trying to say, no idea what it's trying to be. It's a musical, but it's not a musical. It's got Harley Quinn in it, but she's not Harley Quinn. All these aspects just don't come together. They make a really fucking crazy, fucking insane, shitty movie that nobody should watch. Because at the end of the day, you're just gonna leave this theater fucking baffled on what it's trying to say or do. But I don't know. You guys do you do. Let me know if you're gonna check this movie out, what your thoughts are. But I really don't recommend it. To me, this movie feels like a scam in some ways. Because they keep trying to tell you all these things about this movie, and none of them are really true. It's not a musical, but it also kind of is. Harley Quinn's in it, but she's also kind of not. It just is a whole clusterfuck of a movie that ends in a way that you're not satisfied. Usually when I go to early screenings, no matter the movie, the quality of the movie, I get people that clap. No one clapped. I think everybody just kind of left this theater feeling awkward after this, because I wasn't really sure what this movie was saying, and I don't think the audience was sure. And I think you may find some critics that review this movie positively, but there's definitely going to be more mixed reviews for this one, but you will definitely find some people who will be very frustrated by this movie. And I think general audiences will be very frustrated by this movie. I think this weekend it will have a pretty big opening, and then next week it will fall the fuck off, because this movie couldn't pick a lane of what it wanted to be, what it wanted to say. And part of that is the fact that movies like this aren't easy to make sequels to, but that shouldn't really matter, because at the end of the day, you decided to, and you should just pick a fucking lane.